everyone. It's Melissa the Dreadful Mystic, and today I'm going to talk about Florida water. So I was going to set up this big thing and like put it all together in front of y'all, and my camera that I use that for is like totally fucked up. I don't know what happened to it. I have a feeling the cat knocked it off like repeatedly, so it fucked it up. But it is what it is. So instead of putting everything together, I'm just going to go into a lot of detail on how I make it, and I'll give you the recipe, and I'm going to put a link in the description where the website that I got this recipe from originally. And I've been using a variation of this recipe for a long time. I think the actual website that I got this recipe from, I actually got it from about 8 or 9 months ago. But honestly, there's only so many ways to make Florida water. So pretty much all Florida water recipes are going to be pretty similar. So if you have one that you already use, feel free to continue to use it. And, this might just inspire you to add something or another that you might want to add to it, or maybe put it together in a different way. So definitely do what you like. This is just, another way that you could possibly make it. And it might inspire you to add different things to your Florida water. So, what is Florida water? And no, the name does not come from the state of Florida. It has nothing to do with that. Florida is from the Spanish root word. I think it's flores, and it's flower water. That is why it's called Florida water. It doesn't have anything to do with the state of Florida. So even though you'd be surprised at how many people ask if it does. But no, it's about it's about flowers. So, and there are a lot of flowers as far as the quantity, maybe not the amount, variety, but there is, as far as the quantity, there's a lot of flowers in this. So I like to make a whole bunch in the spring when flowers are cheaper, if you need to buy them, or they're readily available in your yard. So, but it's up to you. Sometimes you can find flowers at a decent price. At other times of the year, it can be challenging. The day after Valentine's Day, that's a good place to hit up, like flower shops and stuff, especially for roses, which is one of the main components in Florida water. So Florida water is used for several reasons. It's not just to cleanse, even though that is probably, the majority of the use of Florida water is to magically cleanse your space, but it also has ingredients for raising vibrations, raising the energy of whatever area you're cleansing, and it also adds a layer of protection. Granted, it depends on what you yourself put in the recipe, but almost every recipe I've ever seen has these three components. It's made up of these three components: cleansing, protection, and uplifting, raising the energy. So, so you can attract good vibes, good luck or good fortune, or, the good things that you want in your home. So mostly that's what I use Florida water for, is my home. Whenever I first move into a home, after I'm finished physically just cleaning the hell out of it, the last thing I will do before I move my stuff in, and I might have boxes here and there, but before I really start setting up my new home, is I will wash every damn surface with Florida water, because you don't know what has happened in that home before you were there. So, you really want to make sure you start with fresh, new energies. I really like using Florida water on the full moon and on the dark moon, or at the end of a lunar cycle, dark moon, new moon, in that area. Because we collect a lot of shit throughout a lunar cycle. Throughout those 28 days, we collect a lot of energy that will be brought into our homes by ourselves, by our family members, by people visiting. I mean, you really can collect a lot of energies. And as much as, yes, it would be super beneficial to cleanse your house on a daily basis, to me, no one really has a lot of time to do that. I mean, even if you're cleaning your house and adding magic to what you're doing when you're cleaning your house, it's not as thorough as when you plan out an actual whole house cleansing. So, especially now that it's spring, everyone's doing spring cleaning. Y'all, it's the excellent time to add Florida water into like everything you do. So, when you're spring cleaning. So, that's what it's used for: cleansing, protecting, raising vibrations, attracting good fortune. As far as when you make it, since this recipe calls for fresh ingredients, a lot of times you don't have much of a choice. And really, you can, as far as like when you make it on what day or lunar cycle, you probably have more control over the day of the week than the lunar cycle whenever it comes to acquiring these ingredients and using them. Because like I said, you want to use fresh flowers. So when I'm making it, it really just depends on when I have the ingredients. I would love to always make it like on the new moon or the first day after the new moon, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And really, you can make it anytime, because when you think about what this does, it cleanses, you're attracting good fortune to you. You want to attract that energy, so you can do it anytime during an attraction phase of the moon. But you're also banishing negative energy. You're banishing the stagnant bullshit that can, build up. So you can do it during the banishing portion of the moon, full, dark, new. Anytime, any of those times really is a perfect time to make it. So it's one of those things, you do it when you have the ingredients on hand. So totally up to you. But for me, it's just whenever. I really like making it on a Sunday. Sunday is all about success. It's an honor of the sun, especially working with all these lovely herbs and flowers. They have a lot of connection to the sun. So in the simple fact that they they come out when the sun comes back alive. They bloom whenever the sun is coming back into our lives. So I enjoy making it on a Sunday. And plus, I usually have plenty of time on a Sunday. So it works, has dual purposes there. All right, so Florida water is alcohol-based. So for that reason, I don't use it on myself. I have sensitive skin, and I don't need my skin to be sensitive and dry. So, I don't use it on myself. Now, you can take this same group of ingredients, take out the alcohol portion, and put in water instead, and make a really nice sort of spritz or spray to use on yourself if you want to. And you can definitely use it on yourself if you want to. I'm just saying, it's alcohol, so it is straight up alcohol based. So it will dry your skin out, and that's totally, if you feel like it's worth it, then definitely do it. But for me, it's just not a thing I do. So I start out with vodka. a lot of vodka. The original recipe calls for 5 cups of vodka. I usually make a much big, I actually double the batch usually. So I'll use 10 cups of vodka. Especially if it's during spring cleaning, I will make a big batch because I'll use a lot of it during spring cleaning. So you want to start out with, like I said, 5 cups of vodka. And vodka in itself has magical properties. It is very good to cleanse. It is a good astringent, not only in the physical realm, but in the magical realm as well. So, sorry, y'all. I thought I turned that down. So you have magical associations with vodka. For me, I like to use it in love workings. I like to use it in, like I said, cleansings. So it can be used in malediction. But for this purpose, I'm focusing on the cleansing and the love, properties of vodka. So after that, you put 9 cinnamon sticks, and just as a, sorry, I'm gonna sidebar here just for a second. You can get a copy of Hoodoo, Herb, and Root Magic, and you can look up, well, vodka's not in there, I don't think, but you can look up all of these ingredients and find out how they're used in Hoodoo. I'm going to tell you, but it's always good to do your own research because I do add a few things about the properties of these ingredients that are from my experience. Y'all know me. I talk to my herbs. I talk to my ingredients. I communicate with them. I connect with them on a very spiritual level. So I would definitely say do the same, especially when you're creating something that you're going to be using for God, y'all, I can't talk today. Magical purposes. So cinnamon sticks. You want 9 cinnamon sticks. And cinnamon is good for cleansing. It will burn up or burn off any kind of negative energy. And I'm also using it because it attracts good luck. Especially that is something that's really common about cinnamon, and a common use for cinnamon in Hoodoo is for good luck, gambling, prosperity, success, and business. Any kind of money workings, you're going to find cinnamon as an ingredient you'll see a lot in those kind of workings. So 9 cinnamon sticks. You want 18 allspice berries. So y'all, allspice is really easy to get. Go to the grocery store and you look for the whole allspice. That's what it means by berries. This is dried, not fresh. I mean, if you grow allspice and have access to the fresh berries, you can definitely use fresh. Most people don't. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know the first thing, y'all, about growing some allspice. But dried to me is the best. And for this recipe, well, it's what I use. It's what I'm familiar with. And it's common. It's really easy to find. So allspice relaxes you mentally. So that's always a good thing to add into your home. And it attracts luck and good fortune. So, yeah, there's a lot of allspice in this. Of course, the berries are really small. They're about the size of a peppercorn, maybe a little smaller. So 18 is not that much. The peel of 1 orange dried. Now, personally, I love orange. So I might use more than 1 peel. At the end, after it's cooled off and everything, I also add a little sweet orange oil, essential oil to it anyway. So if I just have 1 peel, that's fine, but you want it to be dried. Mainly because once an orange peel dries, it becomes a lot sweeter. As far as the oils become a lot sweeter in smell. And it just works it works a lot better. You get a lot more of the oil into your mix whenever you use a dried peel versus a fresh peel. Orange, it soothes. As much as it does raise energy, it's not anxious energy. It's not like it's not so much a faster type of energy. It's more like a higher energy, if that makes sense. So it also cleanses, and not just on the spiritual plane, but on the physical plane. Orange oil has always been really good for cleaning. It's in a lot of cleaning products, and it does cleanse magically. So that is why we use orange in our Florida water. 3 cups of rose petals. Now, you can use dried or fresh, either one. I personally like to use fresh. To me, whenever rose petals dry, you still have the smell, but fresh rose petals, because I've tried it both ways, fresh rose petals put off more of a fragrance, in my opinion, than dried. But that's just my opinion. So try it different kind of ways. You might want to. Now, occasionally, if I have roses that I know I won't get again, a seasonal rose, and that I really enjoy the fragrance and I want to use it in this recipe, I will dry those. But I always try to have more fresh roses than dried. So, the reason why we use rose is in hoodoo, roses are used a lot in attracting good luck, in love, and in matters of the heart mainly. God, I'm so sorry, that keeps going off. Hold on, let me just turn that down because that's going to get on my nerves. Okay, sorry about that. So good fortune and luck and love, it also just attracts love in general, and that is an amazing energy to have in your home. You want people who live in your home with you, your family, to feel loved. You want that love energy when people that are visiting your home. That is a wonderful vibration to have, filling your home. Everyone sort of absorbs it and takes it and feels the effects of it. So now roses can also be used in protection. So you can add them, call on that aspect of their personality, of their spirit. Personally, I focus more on the good fortune and luck and love than I do on the protection aspect of roses. So it's up to you, but that's why I use them. Now, this also calls for 3 cups of jasmine flowers, but here's the thing. Jasmine flowers, you can only use fresh. You cannot use dried, because the dried flower itself does not have any fragrance anymore. They are very, very delicate flower. So as soon as they dry up, there's no oil left. Jasmine can be a bitch to get a hold of and expensive. Now, personally, I've grown jasmine before, and whenever I did, I would use jasmine all the time. I don't have my jasmine bush anymore, so because I'm not growing any right now, I use honeysuckle instead. I like honeysuckle. I love the way it smells. Their properties are kind of similar, but I don't really use it as a substitution. I just like what honeysuckle brings for its own, self. But it's up to you. If you can get fresh jasmine flowers, 3 cups is a whole freaking bunch. I'm just telling you right now, that's a lot of jasmine flowers. They're small. So if you can get that, that's awesome. It might cost you an arm and a leg. Personally, I can walk out to my chicken pen over here, and on the fence there is a huge, for about a quarter of a mile, there's honeysuckle bushes and honeysuckle vines, and so I can pick a shit ton of them. So it's up to you. I personally, like I said, I like honeysuckle. It changes. It totally changes the smell, y'all. It's not the same. But and I'll add jasmine oil after I'm done. But again, it's up to you and what you have available to you. So if you use jasmine, they have to be fresh. You cannot use dried. So jasmine brings in love. That's why people use it. It brings in love. Honeysuckle does bring in love. It also has a very warm, comforting property to it. But for me, it also is used in protection of love. Like people use the vines and the flowers, especially in hoodoo, to protect your relationship with your significant other. You can use it to protect your family. They'll like wrap honeysuckle vine, like you take voodoo dolls or poppets or whatever doll babies, whatever you want to call them, and of yourself and your partner, and you'd wrap it in honeysuckle vines, and that's supposed to protect your relationship. So I like using honeysuckle. It's way cheaper and way more accessible. So it's totally up to you. But that's what I enjoy using. You want to use 3 bay leaves. Bay leaves are about protection. They give protection, and they also have strong connection to success and good fortune. So especially money wise. So as you see, there's a lot of ingredients that protect and attract success financially, and attract prosperity, which is important in your home. So everybody wants to be prosperous, but bay leaves also protect. And let's see, 1/2 cup of dried angelica root. The bay leaves can be dried. To me, in the springtime, it's so easy to just grab a few bay leaves that are fresh, so it's really up to you. But the angelica root, you're pretty much always, that's going to be dried, Angelica root wards off evil. It is one of the big protection herbs in this mixture. Not only is it a powerful protection herb, but it is also wonderful for not just protecting, but actually banishing and warding off evil. You'll find angelica root in all kinds of protection spells, especially in hoodoo. It's used in exorcisms. Just, it has a lot of strong connections with warding and protecting. So, honestly, like it says 1/2 cup, I usually go for the whole cup. It just depends on how much I have on hand. I usually have a lot of angelica root because I really enjoy it. And of course, it has that connection with angels and a higher vibration. So, but yeah, I usually use a little bit more than that. But that's just me personally. And then the last ingredient is a cup of aromatic green herbs. So this is like whatever the hell you want to put, and they're fresh, not dried. I personally, because I always have a ton of rosemary, I use a lot of rosemary. I like to use dittany. Granted, dittany is usually dried, but I'll just mix it in with the fresh, and it's not that big of a deal. Pine. I will take some fresh pine needles and use that. So it's really up to you what you like to put in there. But all of that, to me, rosemary is about protection and again, warding off evil. Pine does the same thing. Pine also makes things kind of opens the way a little. So a lot of pine uses are used in like opening the way spells and removing obstacles, and of course for protection too. So I'll use things like pine, like I said, rosemary, dittany. Dittany is it's all about love, and dittany also has protection qualities, to me, Disney kind of protects the full-hearted. So, which is always an added bonus, because let me tell you, I do some full-hearted stuff. But yeah, it's really up to you what kind of fresh green herbs you want to throw in there. Basil is a good one. It is really good for protection. And all of those herbs smell really good with everything else. They really complement flowers. So that's just one of those, whatever you feel. Just know while you're putting it in there. Like I said, I would focus on fresh green herbs that smell really good and that are along the same lines of bringing in good luck or bringing in love or protection or warding off evil or, a kind of banishing herb. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so you take your vodka and then you add all your dried ingredients. That would be your cinnamon sticks, your allspice berries, your orange peel, your bay leaves possibly. Like I usually use fresh, so I'll add those later. And your angelica root, and you add that to the vodka. And you want this, guys, on low because vodka is an alcohol, so it burns off fast, and the fumes are going to be out of this world. You're going to smell vodka really strong. Personally, I like to go outside to do this, and I'll just take a hot plate to do it on because you don't really want it to get too hot. The hotter it is, the faster the vodka will burn off, and you don't want that to happen. You want to still have vodka in there. So this is all done on low. So you cook all that on low for 10 minutes. If you cook it inside, make sure you open windows, turn on fans, get your ventilation system going because you don't want to choke yourself out or your animals. You'll be very conscientious of the little furry critters or your children. If you have children at home when you're doing this, you don't want them to inhale a lot of vodka fumes. So you cook that on low for 10 minutes. After that, you add the flowers, add all your fresh ingredients, your roses, your jasmine or honeysuckle, your bay leaves. So you want to add those, and then you're going to cook it on low for another 30 to 45 minutes. The longer, the better. How you know it's done is you will not smell the vodka as strong. All the other aromas will start to take over. Oh, and the 1 cup of aromatic green herbs. You want those in at the very end as well. So that's how I know it's done. I won't smell that strong vodka smell anymore. It'll be back down to you'll smell more of the flowers. You'll start smelling more of the other ingredients. So I always keep a little vodka on hand because, like I said, y'all, vodka evaporates super quickly. So if I feel like it's drying out too much, if I feel like there's more stuff, because you're going to strain all that stuff off. You're not going to put this, you can, I guess, but I never do. I always strain everything out. So I just have the liquid left over. So I do keep a little vodka on hand if I feel like it's getting too dry. So, and that's just one of those, you just play with it and kind of pay attention and feel, you don't have to, obviously, but like I said, I'm an overly cautious person. So I always keep a little extra vodka on hand. After it's done, you take it off the stove, you let it cool. I let it cool completely to room temperature before I strain it. So you let it cool off completely to room temperature, then you strain, and you want just the liquid. So I have, a big strainer, and what I do is I'll put it over a bowl and strain all the ingredients off, the you know, the debris, you know, the flowers and stuff, because I don't want them in my mixture when I'm done. And after you do that, then you can add essential oils. So if you decide to use honeysuckle and you don't have any jasmine, you can add some jasmine oil. I like to add jasmine oil. Depending on how much rosemary I use, I might add a little rosemary oil. I like to add a little orange oil. You know, if you want to add a little more cinnamon, if you want to add a little lavender, I like to add lavender to mine because I really enjoy the effects of lavender. I don't add a lot, but I will add some. So I might add a little tea tree because tea tree is also an astringent and very good for cleansing. It just really depends. You know, it depends on the mood I'm in, what I have on hand, and the way the product smells when it's done and the way I want it in my mind to smell. So you can add whatever essential oils you want to. I always, like I said, keep them in alignment with what I'm trying to do, which is cleanse, protect, and attract good vibes. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're adding essential oils. And then you can bottle it up, and y'all, it's good for a really long time. Honestly, I've never tested how long. I make a huge batch. It usually lasts me throughout the year. So I don't have any problems with it, you know, so at least a year. So yeah, make some, enjoy it. Like I said, I'll put a link down below. I know this video is kind of long, but there's a lot to it. I mean, just describing all the things you put in it and how the process goes. So like I said, be cautious. Don't, you know, fumigate your home. Make sure you have good ventilation. And play with it, y'all. Play with it. Add things, take away things. Like I said, just always be conscientious of what you're doing and why whenever you're adding or taking away ingredients. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. I would love to know if you tried this recipe, how you changed it, how it worked for you. You can charge it when it's done on a full moon if that's what you want to do. I have never really found that I needed to do that. So now some of my dried herbs I will charge before I use. On certain nights, during certain moons, while they're in a certain phase. It just depends on what I have on hand, what I need to get. But a lot of the stuff I will charge the night before, or just some, you know, during the month. So because for that specific purpose, I can't talk. So play with it, you know, and tell me what you think. And let me know how it works. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.